leads to war.
Good evening. This is Maestro Cortello with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today we have a 1v1 on Calderis Refinery. Our first player right here is Turbine, Cyris, playing as this Eldar Warlock. The Eldar Warlock is a melee hero. I love the way he runs, I love his style of fighting, I love the way he talks, I love the thing he says. He's really cool in a lot of ways. He's also considered a very, very powerful hero in the Elite mod right now. Some people even say the best. He can have a tanky melee build, he can have a spellcasting build. He's got some really cool stuff, and I like his style. On the other side of things, we got Blessed Spartan as this Blood Raven's Grey Knight bro captain. I don't like this guy's style as much. He's a big, fat, tanky melee hero, Terminator armor, can tank. He doesn't even really disrupt at will. He can buff. He does have some pretty good weapons and war gears going into tier 2 and tier 3 though. Alright. So if you'll notice, there are some bugs with my unit descriptions that happened recently as I recently tried out the Dawn of War Codex Edition mod, which is a bit of a different story, but just the unit descriptions, some of the unit descriptions will be a little bit off. But right here, we have a Eldar versus Grey Knights matchup. Now, this is a matchup that I don't play, but my impression of it is that it massively favors the Eldar. I don't really know that for sure, but I just have this impression that it massively favors the Eldar. Now, right now, at least a few versions ago, there were people who were saying that Eldar is the best race in the Elite mod right now, and that particularly the Warlock is the best hero. I've always believed that Eldar is pretty good. Even back in retail, I thought they were one of the best races. And then Grey Knights, on the other hand, by people who actually play the game, Grey Knights are generally considered the worst race in the Elite mod. And I generally believe that. In particular, Grey Knights struggle a lot with early melee. They just don't really have great tools to defend against early melee. And Eldar have the best tier 1, really the best tier 1 melee unit in the game. Certainly the most punishing. And that can really, basically just once they get in, I feel there's not a whole lot that most of the Grey Knight units can really do about these Howling Banshees. As it is, I think the Rangers will also do well against the Howling Banshees, against Grey Knights, but they're a little out of position at this point. He does use the kinetic pulse to, I think, basically just as a way of correcting the fact that he was a little out of position. And that, now the Howling Banshees, now it's funny, I'm saying that the Howling Banshees should just stomp all over these Grey Knights, and right now the Grey Knights actually got a special attack on those Howling Banshees and kind of won that engagement. Or at least they forced off the Banshees, but then I think the Strike Squad were kind of scared off by these Rangers taking shots, and Blessed Spartan did not want to lose any more models there, since those Strike Squad models are very, very expensive to reinforce. So, one of the things we see here from Cyris is that he has not yet gotten any of his aspects on the Avengers or the Howling Banshees. And he did that in part to very quickly get out tier 1.5 units. That's an expression that roughly means basically tier 1 units that cost power, especially the more expensive ones, talking about like Assault Space Marines for Space Marines. And that has actually allowed Cyris to, by investing no power on any of his, on most of his, or on his Howling Banshees, or his Dire Avengers, or his Warlock, he's gotten out a pretty long tier 1 very quickly. He's already got 2 Shurikens and a Ranger Squad. He's also had the better map control. Mostly having this VP, but this Shuriken is out of position. It needs to be covered by another one. The rest of the units are coming good. This Shuriken cannon is setting up. So again, this looks to me like Cyris is in a very advantageous position right now, certainly as far as army composition goes. Not just, well, army composition and army size. He's got 5 units to Blessed Spartan's 3. And that, I think that usually happens where, usually the squishier infantry races, there are definitely a lot of times where they will have 1 extra unit compared to the tougher power armor races. At the same time, though, now Cyris has kind of gone for an extra long tier 1, even by the standards of like the squishier infantry races, while Blessed Spartan's tier 1 is a little too short. Part of what works well about Cyrus's army composition, he has both the Howling Banshees as well as the double Shurikens, so that's really going to render the Blessed Spartan's interceptors probably pretty ineffective. If they jump 1 Shuriken, they will be in the firing arc of the other, and then the Howling Banshees, of course, are commonly used as a bodyguard for setup teams. A pretty smart teleport by Blessed Spartan, though. He actually read what Cyris was doing. Now he just has to be very careful right now because he's going to be potentially retreating through Banshees. The Rangers, on the other hand, are going to be in a lot of trouble because they're potentially retreating through Interceptors. Let's see if Blessed Spartan is paying attention and will go for this 1 Ranger model. Unfortunately, he did not quite see that opportunity. The Howling Banshees have done their work, though, and I think Cyris was kind of distracting the rest of, or what little of Blessed Spartan's army there was. And still, alright, finally we have the aspect of the Avenger going up on those Dire Avengers. Still no War Gear on the Warlock, which is certainly not a bad... There's nothing bad about that. The Warlock is definitely going to perform a lot better once he has some War Gear. But I think the choice that Cyris made is a good one. Sometimes, basically by foregoing the War Gear on his Warlock and by delaying those aspects, he was just able to get out this really, really big tier 1. And it's given him basically roughly a 300 VP lead, 300 point VP lead. Now Blessed Spartan has gone for a double Interceptor build. So double jump units. And I think that's, in some ways, it's definitely not a bad choice. Well, in some ways, it's not a bad choice. First of all, it's just giving him something that he can use to counter both the Shurikens and the Rangers. Both Shurikens and Rangers are typically countered by jump units. So that's basically 3 jump targets that Cyris has. And any one of them left unchecked is going to be doing a lot of long-range attrition damage to the Grey Knights. So certainly not. I would say it's not unwise to at least try this double Interceptor build. But he does want to be careful with them being at partial health. Blessed Spartan actually really using that to put himself back on the field. He's about to get a triple cap. But his strike squad is starting to take headshots. He's going to start losing models on his Interceptors. That is really dangerous. But the Howling Banshees are nearly dead. 2 models left on those Howling Banshees. Some very close calls. Now, one of the nice creative things that I see Blessed Spartan doing is that he did get the Mantle of Terra on his... Oh, and we're going to have a dead Warlock, so some good plays by Blessed Spartan. I thought he was kind of suffering for a bit there, but now he's really making some nice gains, really making big on some nice plays. But the Rogue Captain has that Mantle of Terra. That Mantle of Terra gives him the Canticle of Absolution ability, which is something that synergizes particularly well with the Interceptors, since it restores their energy, allowing them to very quickly jump a second time. Now he can use that for a number of different things. He can use that to, if he jumps one of the Shurikens, and it turns out there's another Shuriken behind it, he can quickly have that Interceptor squad restore its energy, and then jump behind the second Shuriken. Once he also gets the Justicars for the Interceptors in Tier 2, they will actually be disrupting whenever they teleport. And having them teleport multiple times is actually a way of disrupting the Howling Banshees to basically, it's basically a melee counter that the Grey Knights have. It's a very unconventional and roundabout melee counter, but at the same time, I like that kind of creativity of design, and I'm not even sure if it was intentional, but I still like it. Just the combination of the knockback on the interceptors as well as the Canticle of Absolution, allowing them to restore their energy and teleport multiple times. Now, that being said, Blessed Spartan does not yet have those Justicars, so he can't do that yet. That's still just not something that has happened yet. Canticle of Absolution again. We might see some disruption on these Dire Avengers. Could be really dangerous if he disrupts them again. Ooh, teleports right in front of that Shuriken, though. Needs to get his second. Unfortunately, oh no, that's going to be really bad. Ooh, painful. 2 Interceptor models, 3 Interceptor models dead. So unfortunately, Blessed Spartan took a lot of... He got the field back, but he took a lot of unnecessary losses teleporting right in front of that Shuriken cannon. I don't know if he was just not in range, but he literally teleported right in front of that Shuriken cannon with both of his interceptors, which that left them vulnerable to that grenade that Cyris threw with the Dire Avengers. Ooh, what do we got here? I heard that upgrade sound. Looks like we have the Witchblade of Kurnos coming out of the Warlock.
The enemy has 100 points remaining.
The Witchblade of Kurnos is a weapon that's good as a melee counter for the Warlock. It gives him the ethereal slash ability, basically an area of effect, disruption, and damage ability just surrounding the Warlock. So we'll be pretty good against those Interceptors. I think they still don't have their Justicars, so I'm surprised to see that. But I guess Blessed Spartan was not getting those Justicars because he wanted to get that Grey Knight Dreadnought out on the field, which that Grey Knight Dreadnought is definitely probably the strongest purchase you can get for Grey Knights in Tier 2. It's just very strong in a lot of ways. It's 1,300 hit points of vehicle armor, making it stronger than any other Tier 2 vehicle to start out. Obviously, those Space Marine Dreadnoughts coming in at 1,200, Wraith Lord 1,200, Chaos Dreadnought 1,000 to start out. So just more health. It also comes with that multi-melta, which gives you an AV weapon, and it's also very good against infantry as well because it does such high burst damage. It will give a lot of certain models. It will just give in one hit. And we just had a full retreat there. Surprised to see. I guess I have no idea why there was that full retreat. I'd say he probably got that full retreat because the Shurikens had been jumped. The Warlock was at such low health that if he tried to defend those Shurikens, he could have risked going down. And Cyris probably does not want to lose his Warlock at this point. Now, those Howling Banshees, I think they should have actually gone for the chase on that strike squad. They actually went back, but I don't think that was a great choice. I think that if combined with the Swift Movement Global, I think they would have they might have finished off that strike squad. So Cyris now needs some kind of AV, and he's not really in such a great position, but he's upgrading both of his Shuriken cannons to do AV damage. Now that's a little risky. I don't know if it's such a great choice. It's certainly a risk. And unfortunately, one of his Shuriken cannons is not quite, or not really Shuriken cannons, Bright Lances now, does not really have a great firing arc. Oh no, he's going to lose this one too. So unfortunately, definitely some big losses for Cyris. Not good at all. Now, one of the great things about Shuriken cannons is that these days you can just upgrade them right to a Bright Lance. Gives you a lot more versatility. It's good considering double Shuriken cannon plays were common even back in retail when you couldn't upgrade them to a Bright Lance. And now it just gives them much better scaling. It looks like the Grey Knight Dreadnought doesn't go down, and this could be really bad for the Howling Banshees. One model just barely gets out of there. Cyris not looking in great shape right now. He does have an Eldritch Storm. He does have enough red to throw down an Eldritch Storm, but he should be careful with this Grey Knight Dreadnought.
Enemy Space Marines are claiming a victory.
Because he could potentially use an Eldritch Storm to just straight up take out that Grey Knight Dreadnought. Now, I think it also was a little desperate of Cyris to go for shurikens on both of his Bright Lances. Normally, I mean, one of the great advantages of being able to upgrade the shuriken to a Bright Lance is that you can keep one as suppression. You can afford to keep one as suppression if you get two of them, and especially because you want to have suppression, and because suppression overall is, oh my god, those Rangers just absolutely got murdered. That suppression is just very valuable in a lot of ways, and it's, if you turn both of your shurikens into Bright Lances, they also both become relatively useless once you actually destroy the vehicle. They mostly become capping and generator bashing units. Fire Prism now out on the field, though. Fire Prism is a fantastic unit. I'm a little concerned about the Fire Prism choice right now, though. Now, the Fire Prism, I think, is a great unit overall, but I think it's better when you already have a very big army to go along with it. I think it's much more risky if you've taken a lot of losses and then you're fielding a Fire Prism. Since the Fire Prism is a glass cannon, one of the main things that makes it so great is that if it's behind your entire army and your opponent can't get past your entire army, it will hard for them to even be able to get at the Fire Prism. Right now, it's not going to be terribly hard for Blessed Spartan to get at the Fire Prism, since there's not going to be much standing in between the Fire Prism and the Grey Knight army. Those interceptors could be in a lot of trouble. We should see the Swift Movement Global. It does not look like Cyris is using that Swift Movement Global. He's really just floating his red. And I mean, at this point, I guess he should try to get back out on the field. He should try to get back out on the field with both his Bright Lance and his Fire Prism. Use the Eldritch Storm on that Grey Knight Dreadnought. And then just finish it off with the Bright Lance and the Fire Prism, basically. Now, I think he should instead capture this natural VP with his Dire Avengers. Have his Warlock move in for sight, while the Bright Lance and the Fire Prism start shooting at the Chaos Dreadnought, and then drop the Eldritch Storm so that it will get snared and take a lot of damage. And that's right now. Cyris is not in a winning position, and I think that's really the best thing he could do to put himself back in this game. Throw down the Eldritch on the Dreadnought, and then just start hitting it with the Fire Prism. He's getting this Bright Lance back out here. Might not quite be in time. He does want to get a decap off, though. I think he should actually fleet of foot out there, sort of. Oh, that's going to be very risky now. But luckily, the Banshees were right there. Now the Eldritch Storm. He needs to get his own units out of there, drop the Eldritch, so he can start hitting that. And he is in Tier 3, so he can use the Eldritch. I mean, that Dreadnought is really giving him a lot of trouble. It would be nice if he could catch more units. And how about now the Eldritch? The Eldritch. There we go. Oh, unfortunately, it's going to miss. So, oh, and he loses his Warlock too. That's kind of a shame. Some swift movement. No, I don't think that even the swift movement will do it at this point.
Our Warlock has attained level 3.
So, I mean, of course, if you're playing... Oh, this Dire Avenger Exarch in a lot of trouble. I think this... Alright. So the Dreadnought goes down, but so is that Bright Lance is going to go down as well. And it's a 1-to-1 cap, but Blessed Spartan, army-wise, in a bit of a stronger position. He's preserved most of his units except for that Grey Knight Dreadnought. And now the... Just has to be careful because we have a Las Cannon Rhino coming after this Fire Prism. Needs to be very careful. He needs... Oh no, this is not good. He's buying another Fire Prism. That might be a Fire Prism to replace a Fire Prism, though. And he needs those Howling Banshees to actually run up and actually just put some pressure on that Rhino.
We trust in your guidance.
Now Cyris is biding his time because he needs to get repairs on that Fire Prism. He's getting a second Fire Prism out. And I think that's a build that could definitely win against what Blessed Spartan has, but he needs to get it out of there. He's running out of time. Blessed Spartan does not have much resources of his own to do much. So I'd say, I mean, Cyris can still do this, but he needs to get out there. That's the main thing. He just needs to get out there because he does not have much time. He might want to do Focus Blast on one of the Fire Prisms and then the Explosive Blast on the other. Either will actually still do AV damage and still do knockback. That was a big rear armor shot. Now one of the other challenges that... Oh, that's really bad. He's bunched up his Fire Prisms a little too much. But that AV grenade on the Fire Prisms is terrible. Now, what... Now, I guess what Cyris still has on his side is these Fire Prisms being fantastic. And apparently the Rhino went down and I didn't even really see it.
The enemy turns its crude psychic weaponry upon us.
Alright, this is actually a good position now for Cyris. He should switch both Fire Prisms over to the Explosive Blast, or the Disperse Blast, or whatever it's called. At this point, he can win the game on this.
More cautiously now.
Where is there need of me?
Speak, and our group will obey. The Temple Exarch.
We're gonna get an Ethereal Slash. No. Just a special attack. Cyris is kind of knocking over his own stuff. Just have the, he can just have the Warlock just sit in there and cap. The Warlock should not worry that much about a Hellfury Strike, but Blessed Spartan, that's... Ooh, when Blessed Spartan's going to Tier 3, that's not a good choice at all. He will not have the time. He will not have the time to do anything in Tier 3. So it actually looks like this game... I'm calling it a little early, but right now it now looks like Cyris is going to take the game. Blessed Spartan certainly had an advantage for a while.
Beware the Banshees howl.
Now,
What do you require?
Cyris is saying that Blessed Spartan should not have gotten the armor upgrade on the Razorback. I don't know if that's entirely true. The Fire Prisms were the... Yeah, Cyris is actually not quite right about that, because by default the Rhino has super heavy infantry armor. Oh no! This one actually got hit by that grenade. By default, the Rhino has super heavy infantry armor, and then with its upgrade, it gets vehicle armor. Now, when it has the vehicle armor, it gets less health, but the super heavy infantry armor, because the Fire Prisms do plasma cannon damage, the Rhino in its default form will actually be taking extra damage for the Fire Prism. So... in that case, basically, when he has the vehicle armor, he will have less health, but will also be taking less damage from the Fire Prisms.
As ever, we serve the craftsman.
Caution has its place as well.
And it actually looks like Cyris will take that one.
The prism cannon is yours.
And
to
we
command.
finally have an Eldar energy shield. I'm surprised to see that just go up right now. Counting down. Blessed Spartan just going for his, I don't know, last offensive, but he does not have enough time. And that will be a game in favor of Cyris.
We have prevailed.
Alright. Hope you enjoyed the cast. Have a good night.